Since I don't use a lot of evidence, intending that you must get it for yourself so that you believe it, the end result is might as well give a little bit of evidence, and this comes from, according to the little thing here, is from the Congressional Budget Office. That's where the tax comes from in the U.S. Treasury Department, and the census provides the rest of the information. So in other words, it's a organized or an organization that reports what the statistical abstract does not anymore, because they've hidden the information there. But somebody has provided it. So let's take a look at what they say. Here it says we owe $36.434 trillion is the national debt. That doesn't mean that we the people owe that. That means that that's what our federal government, our federal employees overspent. This is, they could not collect the taxes that they needed to spend what they wanted to spend. So they simply created a debt of $36 and $434 billion that we're supposed to pay at some point in time, or in other words, since we can't, it'll be the future is supposed to pay. It's a hidden tax. That's what it actually is. We didn't give them the money. They couldn't collect the money. They couldn't create a program to where the people would allow them to get the money. The Constitution did not allow for them to create that kind of debt. They just created the debt on their own. So then we go down here to what actually do we owe. And we owe a total of $101,682 billion supposedly. That's supposed to be our debt as a nation. 101 trillion. $1 trillion is $10,000 for each and every one of 100 million people. That's how much $1 trillion is. So if you have 100 million people, and you add 10,000 per $1 trillion by $101 trillion, that would be $101 million, $1.01 million for each and every one of 100 million people. That's how the math does that. Go ahead and figure it out on your own. But not only is the debt very, very large, our currency and credit derivatives. You've heard of credit derivatives. That's what caused the meltdown in 2008, so they said, but it actually wasn't so. It's just the creation of endless currency. This is the currency. And they say that there's $723 trillion of currency out there. That's if you divide that by 340 million people, it's over $2 million per human face. That's infants, prisoners, it doesn't matter. Retired people, it doesn't matter. Nursing home. We should have divided equally over $2 million each in something, worth supposedly something. And then we come to another little, there's supposedly 340 million people in the nation currently. And in 2000, there's supposedly 112 income taxpayers. In other words, people who actually pay the tax bill. That's 112 million people. So these are, taxes are only paid by the worker, and the worker, supposedly 112 million of them in this nation. But what we look at here is U.S. workforce now reads as 161,713 people that would be eligible for work or would be in the workforce. But it says here, just below that, in the workforce in 2000, there was more workers than there are today. 162,800,000. So of course, something is wrong there. Something is wrong. But we look down here. This is a credit and currency derivatives as of the year 2000. in 2000 we had $88 trillion, which is way more than it should have been. In 1970 there was 1 trillion. So in the corresponding years, 30 years, they created $88 trillion to pay for their debts. That, of course, were just lies. And then they created $723 trillion from 2000 till now. That's 24 years. So instead of 88, they created 600 over $600 trillion to pay for what they wanted. And the end result of it, of course, is that none of it is true. There is absolutely no real reality in the United States today. It's all a lie. Created by thieves. It's created by thieves. Of this important part, 28 trillion is supposedly Social Security. It's what all the retirees get. And Medicare liability, that's what, your hospitalization for the retired people costs, $43 trillion. That is not a sustainable number of any kind, and the 28 trillion that's supposedly in Social Security, that was spent a long time ago. It doesn't exist. It's just part of this hidden inflation and this hidden taxation here. This is all taxation numbers. Every single dollar is supposedly a promise by the American people to pay for what, pay in the future for what they did today. Well, they created over $600 trillion in the last 24 years, and you're supposed to pay that. You are supposed to pay that. That's a hidden tax. It's a tax that they created way beyond what they actually account for, which is the national debt, which is, that has nothing to do with you or me or anybody. It's just how much they created to pay for what they wanted as a federal government. Just that our Congress created $36 trillion of debt for us to pay over and above what taxes were. But it didn't. Your taxation has actually nothing to do with what they spend. There is no reality of any kind in the purposes of the United States government. It's actually all a lie. But of more important matters than that is the fact that, say, go mad in Arizona, the Biosphere 2 program. See, Biosphere 2 program, that was in '87. And it was their attempt to create a situation. This is their spaceship. This is their spaceship Earth. They were going to test out just how much they needed to go wandering off into space. They were going to take the little big piece of the Earth with them, build a great big spaceship, and they went out here and they built that to prove they could do it. But of course they proved they couldn't do it instead. And of things that were important to realize in this part is that the one thing they didn't account for was the oxygen that they were going to use. So this was a 2-year program. They actually busted their way out after 2 months. But the end result of it is that the Earth's atmosphere is at 21% oxygen, but the biosphere inside of it, which was all sealed up, 7 million cubic feet of air, was fell to 14.2 before they simply just got out. And they could not survive at 14.2, so they busted their way out. And the end result of it is that, nobody is going off into space. You can't take the oxygen with you. It's not going to happen. It's a lie. Like so many things of university is a lie. It's just plain a lie. Everything is a lie. It's a lie, it's a lie, it's a lie, it's a lie. And the expertise, of course, is Wrong, but what is important about that, far more than the money, is take a look at all the vehicles that are around. The actual average semi-truck consumes about the amount of air that 125 people need for a 24-hour period for 1 hour of normal operations down the highway. 1 hour is the equivalent of how much oxygen is going to be consumed by that truck for, and it translates to 125 people for a 124-hour period. And of course, people say, well, your math must be wrong. There's so much oxygen, we don't have to worry. But of course, you can't overheat the earth or anything else. And oxygen is not created. It's a finite source. It's a atom. Oxygen is an element. That means it's an atom of a particular kind. And that means we don't create it here. We don't create it on Earth. We use it on Earth. We release it on Earth. But we don't create any atom here on Earth. So it's a finite resource, and it will disappear. Take a look around at the cars, an Econo car, which gets 30 miles to the gallon, uses the same amount, about 30 miles to the gallon, uses the same amount of per hour of driving down the road, uses the same amount of oxygen that about 30 people need for a 24-hour period. Look at all the cars worldwide. Billion vehicles probably start up every day. It is a finite world. You're not going to survive the consequences of what has been chosen. You're not going to survive the consequences of all the poisons that have been dumped out and around the water sources and what have you. You're not going to survive the cost of terrorism. You're not going to survive any of it. And of course, I know of a situation where 100 million people could easily die in 3 weeks because of because of all lost water sources. There is an endless amount of tragedy coming because that's what you chose. That's what your leaders chose for you. That's what you said, I don't care. I just want to be rich. But of course, all the riches in the world won't buy you a new world. Think about it. All the numbers that you could possibly own, or if you own title to endless amounts of property, what the hell? You gonna take that to your grave with you, are you? Well, it ain't gonna help you. I can guarantee you that, and you can guarantee you that itself. You can fill your casket up with gold or whatever it is you think is extra special important. Diamonds or whatever it is, it doesn't matter. Is it going to help you? Is it? No, it's not. Because the end result is that only truth decides whether there is a future or not, whether there is an eternity or not, whether you get to go into whatever might be in the eternal world or not. Just truth decides. And your truth is that you're consuming far more oxygen than the world is releasing, and that means that your oxygen content of this planet is going to drop, and that means that once it starts to really drop, it's going to be very, very hard to stop that, and you're going to be just like the people at Biosphere 2. They're going to end with no, you can't stand it anymore. And so you kill yourself off, and you kill off everybody else, and you war, and you war, and you war, and you war, until it's just hell. That's what you chose. And I know, I'm the oddball out. Why should you pay attention to me? And I'm sure the vast majority have already turned off this particular part, so that they understand that I don't want to know. I don't want to know. You can't make me do anything. I'm not going to spend a penny. No, no, no. That's what the world has been saying for the last 50 years. And no way. No. I don't want to know. I'm innocent. I'm innocent. You can't make me bad. No. But the end result is we all contribute to the realities of what our future will be. Fate is a decision, the consequence of your decision, rather than letting truth decide, which is a destiny. If truth decides, that is a destiny because truth decides. But if you decided what the consequences of your future are going to be, that's fate.